Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Hey, pals. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Great.
All right, so I want to let everybody know, I'm not Dan. I'll never be Dan. I'm just filling in his stead. In many ways, I'm the Dan who stepped up. I'm your step Dan. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. And if in the midst of that fun, you guys want to call me Dan, it's all right.
I'm not ready to call you Dan yet. I think I'll get there.
It's all right, Christopher. We're here to have fun and learn something as well.
Speaking of the N-word, the NBA was on fire last night.
What? Now, let's let Juju express himself.
Man, the Milwaukee Bucks crapped the bed right on schedule, right after we were talking about the Celtics so much and how we couldn't believe in them. The Milwaukee Bucks, man, what a one to let go last night without LeBron James. Yeah. Austin Reeves had the game of his career last night. Anthony Davis, wow, great game. Damian Lillard, oof. Seeing Giannis miss those free throws at the end of the game in that clutch moment must have been rough for him.
With LeBron counting on the sideline. You see on the sideline doing the thing. He's just getting trolled nonstop with that.
It's funny because, we've had a lot of conversations about lines and everything like that over the last week or so. And Giannis, if I'm not mistaken, the over-under on him was 29 for the night. And he had 25 going into at the end of regulation. He had 25 going into, I want to say, late into the game.
Right.
And then missed the 2 free throws. It's one of those things like, really? What's going on?
John Tate was like, yes.
Yeah, see? It ain't just me. It ain't just me. Yep, he had 29 on the dot last night, but those 2 free throws, of course, would have put him over. He was 1 of 6 from the free throw line. The one thing I'm going to say, though, Juju, is we don't expect anything of the Bucks, though, right? Like, we're past the point of thinking that this is a team, correct?
Absolutely. A little bit. I think a lot of people still think the Bucks can win the championship this year.
I feel like we're saying that out of respect. Like, out of respect to Giannis, out of respect to Damian Lillard. But no one actually believes it.
I mean, just how flimsy the Celtics look in pressurized situations.
No.
Without them, who else in the East really contends?
The Celtics,
I can think of somebody.
Please don't.
You know what? We'll get to those jokers in a second. But I'm serious here. It's like this is like the Zach Harper and I always talk about like the MVP conversation. People complaining, oh, so and so should be in the MVP conversation, and we're like, so you're gonna vote for him MVP? Well, nah, I wouldn't vote for him. Just then stop talking about it. So the Bucks should be in the conversation for a championship. But other than someone who's employed by the Bucks, who thinks the Bucks are gonna win the championship?
To me, it felt like when they hired Doc Rivers, I was like, ooh, all right, we're done. This is over. Milwaukee's done.
I mean, he's fixed it somewhat. They're better than what they were under Adrian Griffin.
Sure, but the track record suggests that once they get into the playoffs, the wheels are going to fall off.
I feel like the wheels already fell off.
Then he put them back on, but they're going to fall off again?
Yeah, he put on, like, cardboard wheels. Like, these aren't real
like those
wheels.
little tires, when you got the back?
Donut.
They're like little tiny ones that say don't drive over 45 miles an hour, and you got to like...
Nah,
Did Doc really make this big of a difference, though? When looking back on Adrian Griffin, did Doc make this big of a difference where it was necessary to get rid of Adrian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Juju, and it kills me because AG's a good guy and everything, but like if the guys don't believe in you, it's a wrap, dude. You could go get brainwashed, come back. I'm the smartest basketball mind that ever lived. It's done. Like you missed your opportunity to prove it to them. Because
I feel like if he got brainwashed and became the smartest basketball mind that existed, they would start to believe in him.
no, they wouldn't.
I feel like if you don't believe in, why would you not believe in that guy who just got brainwashed and now he's the smartest basketball mind?
Because it's too late.
You painted a scenario where it's like they still wouldn't buy it.
Now, you got to be a leader of men.
In the scenario that you painted, they would finally believe in him.
No, they wouldn't. It's not a Disney movie, Chris. He'd walk in and say, "Oh, the Pythagorean theorem, da da da," and all that stuff, and they'd be like,
Nerd.
"Yeah,
Get out of here. Get out of here, nerd.
There'd be nothing. There would be nowhere." Speaking of nothing and nowhere, the Miami Heat. Now, Jeremy, this is the part that I don't get.
Yes.
They have the easiest or the second easiest strength of schedule remaining in the league, right? The easiest if you don't count Detroit, because Detroit.
Yeah, you don't count Detroit.
Yeah. I don't have any confidence in them to get out of 7. And dare I say it, I think they're vulnerable depending on what happens with Philadelphia. They're extremely vulnerable in a play-in situation. Last night, they go out there, they play the Warriors pretty close in the first half. I was at the game. Jeremy was at the game, bona fides. And then the same thing that's happened a lot recently in Heat games in the second half, where the other team realizes, oh, yeah, we can score. We have offense. And the Heat are like, oh, I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
Damn, we don't. Yeah, I mean, look, the Heat's second half offense has been pretty horrendous lately, and it's in large part because their effort, enthusiasm, whatever, with that team, culture, blah, 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 it can will you into a competitive first half. But ultimately, they just haven't had the bodies to have offense in the second half, and the bodies specifically being Duncan Robinson out now, Kevin Love, Tyler Hero. Those are your 3 best three-point shooters.
Sure.
They went 1 of 16.
And Jimmy this year.
Well, yeah, and
Jimmy's one of their best three-point
shooters. Yeah, and Bam
shooters
Adebayo, obviously. But when you don't have any threat from deep, not just execution, when you're going 1 of 16 from 3 in the second half, I believe it was, it's other teams are able to pack the paint. You've seen teams play zone defense against Miami in the second half in multiple games over the last few weeks. And in large part, it's because they look at, Terry Rozier trying to get his in the mid-range, taking long twos. Patty Mills is your greatest threat from 3-point range right now. And that's right, exactly. And that's not to say Patty Mills has played better, honestly, than I think anticipated, just because he's played a ton of minutes that nobody expected when he signed here. Their injuries are piling up, but their offense has been a problem all season long.
That's my thing. And my thing is, so a season ago, their offense struggled, but we all said, yeah, but this is a good three-point shooting team that hasn't been making its threes. At some point, it's going to turn on, and then it turned on in, the playoffs, and the rest was history. This year, the three-point shooting has been decent. The offense is still struggling. So now I'm wondering where that big fix is going to come from.
So to me, I would argue you haven't seen this team complete at any point this season. You add Terry Rozier, who was supposed to be offensive help. He has yet to play more than, 3 or 4 games with his full backcourt of Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. I don't know how Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier will play off each other, but the reality is that Tyler Hero is the best playmaker for others on this team,
right?
Outside of maybe Bam Adebayo. He's the best player at setting up other players on this team, and Terry Rozier is more of a score-first guard, where what you've seen from Tyler this year was he did, even though he is a scorer, he became someone at the start of this season who was able to set up other players and have them succeed offensively. Without him, this team has really floundered.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things for me, is because when Terry Rozier came here, it was like, hey, what he was doing in Charlotte on a bad team with not a lot of people around him, guys don't expect that here because he's got to fit in. But then with the injuries, it's like, well, I thought you'd give us what happened in Charlotte. And he's forget about setting other people up. He struggled in and of himself shooting the ball for the most part.
I think the other thing, too, when you talk about they haven't had their full team, is also there's no guarantee of health. This is the NBA. This could be just a season where the Heat have nobody the entire year, and that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, it's been one of those years where, and look, last year you could argue was kind of similar, right? I mean, they missed a bunch of guys. Bam missed time, Jimmy missed time, Tyler missed time, but the difference was during those stretches, two of the other players were often available. And your role players were all healthy. They were just struggling. So I remember sitting here in December, January, February, and saying if Gabe Vincent and Max Strus start hitting their threes that they should as they're generating open shots, this team will be good. And then you got to the playoffs, and that's exactly what happened. Those guys got hot. They were generating great shots. Right now, you're looking at an offense that's totally jumbled up. I mean, but what are you to expect when you have lineups out there last night? And this is not a criticism of any of the individual players, but when you're looking at a lineup that is DeLon Wright, Caleb Martin, Haywood Highsmith, Jaime Jaquez, and Thomas Bryant, how do you expect to generate consistent offense?
Jeremy, you sound broken.
No.
I hear a little doubt in your voice. You've been the guy, no matter what is said around here, Heat and 5.
I still feel that way if they're healthy. Like, that's the reality. Is that
little if you're thrown in there.
Well, yeah, of course,
because they're never healthy.
Tyler's been out for a really significant amount of time. He needs to be able to come back in the next few games for this rotation to really get comfortable together.
Jimmy's been the interesting one in terms of missing games for me because Tyler seems to have a clear injury. Duncan has a back injury. Yeah. Jimmy was probable yesterday and then was out with a sickness. Yeah. The real macro thing here is that the Heat have seemed to change their. They didn't let LeBron do whatever he wanted to do here, and now they're letting Jimmy Butler, a lesser player. So have they changed their stance with players? It just seems like they give Jimmy way more than they even gave LeBron.
The latitudes.
This is just a change in the way the NBA works. No,
it's like the everything is shifting, right? And so if you look at in respect to all the other teams, the Heat are still where they've always been. If you're trying to compare to where the Heat were, of course they moved. In the same way that if you look at the Warriors, we think of them as a fast team, right? And they've been a fast team in the NBA for the last decade. If you look at where they were in 2017 or whatever, it would be incredibly slow right now. So it's one of those things where you just have to kind of adjust to the times. Off topic though, do you guys get excited when there's someone famous at the game? Does that change your excitement level for a game?
If I was a player, it would.
Would it?
If I was playing and I saw that girl who I love song is sitting in the front row, I'm dropping 50.
Ooh, is that Denzel?
Yeah, I put up about 25 for Denzel.
Oh man, really?
Yeah.
Good night though. Good night.
Like 8 boards.
So last night they had Neymar in the building. They had Alcaraz in the building. They had Busquets, but he's 100 years old, so nobody cares anymore. Although he plays for.
Do you have guys in the NBA knowing who those guys are?
Yeah. Yes.
Alcaraz, you have somebody dribbling down the court and be like, "Oh, that's Alcaraz."
Absolutely.
Well, and this team has to because Jimmy's friends with those guys.
Yeah, I don't think Lucy knows who Alcaraz is.
What?
Hey, Lucy.
Lucille, do you know who Carlos Alcaraz is?
Who?
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about the tennis player?
The tennis player.
I know.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, but if you see if you put a
you
lineup
said tennis, and then I knew. Yeah,
an
I
old
know what he
jail,
looks like.
right?
He's from Spain, right?
Yeah, he's
Excellent
swarthy.
hairline.
Swarthy with an excellent hairline. Does that increase your excitement level? Like, who's been? I just saw this other day. Someone was at an Iowa game.
Travis Scott.
And
Jake from State Farm.
Does that? Well,
And
He's everywhere.
And Maya
George
Moore.
Kittle, too.
And George Kittle.
And
guy
George
has the
Kittle.
best life.
And
George Kittle's
Jason
girlfriend.
Sudeikis. And Sue Bird.
saying Jake
Damn,
from
bars.
State Farm was there is like saying Jax was at the Heat.
Nah,
game
he's
last
the
night.
most
He's working.
recognizable face in
But
America.
he's working.
What a life.
He's always working.
He doesn't go recreationally.
Yeah, but they just said what very realistically, what does he do that is work there? They send him to sit in the front row and be there as an
the man.
advertisement.
That's work.
It's awesome.
That's
what I'm
basically
saying.
my
It's great.
job.
Right.
Oh, okay. You
That's
think it's
Lucy.
great? Try walking every 2 steps and having someone say, "Jake from State Farm, Jake from State Farm."
We were cool when we saw him.
We were
super
we
cool
didn't,
when we
we
saw
didn't
him.
bring attention to him.
We were
And
like,
that's-
"What's up, bro?"
What's up, man? I know.
Do
I
you
see
think
what it is.
that his level of celebrity allows people to feel like they can approach him? So that's the problem, is that he's too approachable, and so in turn he is getting stopped where all of the other high level celebrities aren't getting stopped by people?
Tony, where did we see Jake from State Farm, and what was the situation?
So it was freezing outside, and we saw him. So up north, this doesn't happen in Miami. Up north, there's like a room before you get into the bar. That's like, I guess, to take off your coat or
A vestibule.
a vestibule, whatever.
mud room.
So me and Amin are waiting for an Uber, and we're sitting in that room or whatever. And Jake from
Staying
State
warm.
Farm walks in, kind of like hides in the corner. Me and Amin are there like
Huddled.
freezing. Yeah, he's
Dude, he was
huddled.
huddled.
He's freezing, and we're there like, "What's up?" And he's like, "What's up, boys?" And we're like, "Chilling,
Chilling.
just a normal guy."
But then, as people are entering this bar, going through the vestibule,
he had to leave.
every single person, Jeremy, that walked through. Jake from State Farm, Jake from State, and it's
And it was late already too, so the drinks have been flowing.
It's one of those things. I'm gonna tell you what. If you're famous for something serious, people are much more likely to like approach with caution. Like, so if you saw, Laurence Olivier, who I don't think is alive.
Perfect example.
Right? That's the most serious
Spot
person
on.
I could think of. Or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, you're like, oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Abdul-Jabbar.
You approach with reverence.
Yeah, reverence.
Yeah.
If you do some clownish shit,
I mean, is Jake from State Farm really clownish? That's not clownish.
dude,
No, but it's approachable because he's a commercial actor.
it's not serious, right? It's not like, yo, man, this guy, like, he has a lot
Like
going
chill,
on.
hey, chill.
Man,
man,
I think he has a lot going on. I think Jake from State Farm, it's
No.
like being Batman, bro. It's so much responsibility.
Juju,
bro.
I'm not arguing that it ain't easy, that he's got a hard job or whatever. I'm saying for the fan who's walking, they're not looking in and like, oh man, like this guy's real busy. Let me leave him alone. They're like, oh man, that's that dude. But all you got to do is like a good neighbor, da da da, and they just run up on you. Like, hey, like me. People think, oh, because jokes around and he shoots weird and all that stuff. Like, oh, you can just run up on him.
Look at
And-
me, Louis.
But
Lawrence Olivier who died in '89. What kind of reference was that by you?
That's why people are very cautious.
If you weren't into Lawrence Olivier, who died when I was 2.
Right,
I was
protect your neck because he is a zombie.
I was trying to think of Anthony Hopkins, and I couldn't think of his
Sir
name.
Anthony.
I think also.
Rest in peace, Lawrence Olivier, though. With respect to his family. Much love.
Did Jerry almost kill Sir Anthony Hopkins?
I did. I almost did. I stopped myself.
Okay, you were like almost. I was like,
That
no,
should
he's
be
still with us.
like a $25 fine, right? Like 50 is for killing someone who's still alive. 25 should be of almost.
For almost killing him?
Yeah.
Attempted
I feel
murder.
really
Manslaughter.
bad.
It was attempted
That was
murder.
manslaughter.
But so does anyone actually get excited when you see like, oh, the game I'm watching, someone famous is watching this game?
At UFC events, there's always a ton of people. Juju's been in the crowd, like deep into where the famous people sit, and they'll pan over the crowd, and you see Action Bronson, you see other fighters, you see a bunch of people, and you're like, damn, the fight kind of feels a little
Interesting
bit bigger.
names you didn't name
If
there.
Guy Fieri's there, I'm
Guy
excited.
Fieri's been
I
there.
met him at the Super Bowl. We
That's
took a
nice.
picture together.
Yeah?
Where I sat
Very
right
exciting
next to-
stuff.
Was he
Very
nice?
He was so nice, and he
Yeah.
was so friendly. Well, honestly, the key is if you want to talk to a celebrity, you just got to make pals with their security. And
How's
that's
the
what I
hair look?
did.
How's the hair look in
Oh
person?
God, it was glorious. It was the best
Icy.
day of my life.
Bro, at a fight, I sat right next to 6ix9ine and his crew. So I was rooting against every nigga everybody he was rooting for. I was like, oh hell nah. He gotta lose.
Welcome to our Max audience. Following this, Oz, right here on Max. No, man, look, I've always been enamored by people who get excited when someone famous is. I'm like, who cares? We're not hanging out.
Oh,
with
you're
them.
you're around celebrities.
No,
so
it's not that.
much.
Oh, even before I knew a celebrity in my life, Chris. Like when I was in college, you go to the club. It's like, all right, we're waiting in line, and then all of a sudden it's like $50. Like $50. Like Allen Iverson is here. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not partying with Allen Iverson. I'm gonna do the same ridiculous ratchet stuff I was gonna do anyway.
$100. Lawrence Olivier is here.
Oh my God, that one maybe just to catch a glimpse, one last look at him.
I agree with you. Like when I lived in LA, seeing celebrities I did not think was that cool, and I always thought it was really weird when people would like go up and bother them. But like as like an Iowa women's basketball fan, if there's any celebrity in Iowa, that's a very big deal, and we should always be very excited about that. They do not stop in Iowa.
Travis Scott went to an Iowa game.
Isn't that crazy? He was like leading the band and chants and stuff. He was really getting after it. It was a great time.
Now, is the band contractually obligated at that point to learn how to play at least one Travis Scott song?
I mean, it's Iowa, no.
Bro, every time Lucy go to any game, I am locked in on that game, bro. It don't matter if it's Nebraska versus whoever the hell, I'm locked in. So yes, with Lucy is there, I'm focused.
But that's different because that's like a seal of credibility to the event when Lucy goes.
Thank you.
She is a celebrity, bro. My sister is
She's a
popular.
celebrity, but I'm gonna say it just like Jake from State Farm. You're working. You're not
Am
going
I
for
working
fun.
though? Have you seen the videos I put out?
I've seen the videos. I've never seen you do anything untoward or unprofessional.
What do you think the original Jake from State Farm, like how do you think he feels about all of this? The one who was just like khakis?
Read an interview with him. So his name is actually Jake. He actually works for State Farm. He's not an actor.
No way.
That's why they cast a new Jake from State Farm, because they were like, yo, the stuff that we're going to start wanting Jake from State Farm to do is outside of your purview of just saying khakis or whatever. They had him in a Super Bowl ad a couple of years ago where he came back and he just did the
They
same
couldn't
line.
develop my
guy.
boy,
That's
though.
what I'm saying.
They couldn't
Get this
develop
guy
my boy, get him
acting
out of
lessons.
accounting and get him in there doing his
Come
thing.
on.
I think my
Come
man
on.
just wants to sell insurance to his clients and like help service their
Oh,
accounts.
he doesn't want to be the face of a massive brand that's all over the place, going to sporting events, hanging out with everybody.
Tony, I'm going to tell you right now, man. I learned this. I had this conversation with someone the other day. Like, you reach a point where it's like, do you like your job? Like, I like my job. Do you like who you work with? They're like, we're cool. It's like, do you make enough money? It's like, oh, obviously, we'd always want more money no matter how much money you make. But it's like, if I'm being honest, I make a decent, comfortable amount for me to live the lifestyle I live. It's like, then why am I going to mess it up trying to do something else, right? Like, imagine what that guy could have gotten into if he had gone that route, man. Drugs and hookers and the gambling debts. No, man, he's just Jake from State Farm, and he got his clients that rely on him like a good neighbor.
You say that, but according to People Magazine, Jake Stone was sourced from an internal casting call, originally an employee at State Farm, but then after the role in the commercial, eventually left his job. He now works as a bartender at a pub in Illinois.
The fame got to him.
That's a good conversation starter, though.
The fame
I
got
used to be Jake from State Farm.
Didn't that happen to one of like the Geico cavemen? Like he was really famous, and then he just like left and was like, you know what? I'm going to be a professor at a college because they gave him like I swear this happened. They gave
But
him like
as
a
the caveman.
Yeah, they gave him a TV
It's a
show.
TV show on ABC,
and then
yeah.
and then it just like didn't pan out, and now he like works at a university or something.
Well,
But he's still the caveman.
I kind of feel like if it doesn't pan out for me, I'd rather have Jake's life. I'd rather be a bartender than be a professor at university. Can you imagine trying to, all right, class, today's lecture is on the Mesozoic era, and yeah, Jake, whatever, like caveman, it's
Like
so
a good
easy.
neighbor.
No, it's so easy. This class is so easy. Even caveman can do it. Am I right? Like, all right, Mr. Jenkins.
Speaking of great neighbors, Luka and Kyrie seem to be putting it together at the right time of the year, right now. The Mavericks, I feel like if they get into that play-in spot, look out, bruh.
His name is McManus Woodend, the original caveman, and he is now an English instructor at the University of Southern Indiana.
My dad works at Progressive, and let me tell you, Flo and the Don't Be Like Your Parents guy, they seem to be living the absolute best life.
Flo is one of the top 5 highest paid pitchmen, or pitch people, I should say, in the business.
Wow, she makes $6 million a year.
She's killing it.
Way more than my dad.
Bro, she's killing it.
Bruh, speaking of flow, the Oklahoma City Thunder are flowing right now at the right moment. Jalen Williams, the J-Dub, not
He's
J-Dub,
amazing.
not J-W. What's the other one name? They
J.
got
Will.
two J Wills, yeah.
J. Will's a light-skinned one. J. Dub is a dark-skinned one.
Bruh, J-Dub going crazy right now. He's proven himself to be a great number 2.
Should have been an all-star.
Hot take.
I mean,
not that hot.
I mean, with Oklahoma City being so good so early, right? It feels like they're kind of ahead of schedule.
They are.
Is there a moment where you look and everybody Dan talks about it all the time? Real Dan, not you. Whoa. Sorry.
You're my real Dan.
Thanks, Lucy.
So Real Dan talks about it all the time where he's like, look, they're going to have to suffer something. Like that's always been the plight of the young team. Suffer a loss in the playoffs, suffer a loss in the finals like Oklahoma City did way back when. Do you feel like this is a team that's kind of breaking those norms?
No, because the suffering doesn't happen in the regular season. So no matter how great they are, they're going to reach a point where they're going to discover, this shit just
Jokic
got
is
real.
big.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit, I can't guard this.
Literally, that's going to
Chet
be it.
Holmgren can't hold.
And by the way, we talk about like having the suffering. Sometimes that suffering happens late. Sometimes it happens in the conference finals. Sometimes, like the Thunder last time, it happens in the NBA finals, right? I think they went from getting knocked out in the first round in 2010 to like the finals in 2012, right? In 2 years, they went from a first round knockout as a young team as an 8 seed or whatever to all the way to the finals. So it doesn't always happen early or shockingly, but it happens. Like no one goes all the way their first time. And so, yeah. I think they're going to get their rude awakening, but it's part of the process, man. You know? Yeah.
We do know.
I don't have an exit point. Chris rather reassuringly whispered in my ear, "The mic is hot." And I said, "I know, because I turned it on."
You turned it on like before we were back,
No,
so I just was making sure you knew.
I just like to be ready, you know? I like to be in a state of readiness, like David Samson, who joins us now. David Samson, Nothing Personal is the podcast. You can follow him, listen, subscribe, like, share, et cetera, et cetera. Also, you can check him out live and in tour. That starts in Philadelphia.
In tour or on tour? I think he's
tour.
on tour. I thought you said in tour.
I did say in tour, but he's on tour. He's on tour, and it starts Tuesday in Philadelphia. David, where can people find tickets for the events?
Right on DavidSamsonPodcast.com, or you can follow Juju, because I'm seeing Juju in Atlanta. Juju, I'm so excited. Can you imagine what fun we will have on stage in Atlanta?
Absolutely. I got your back, brother. We're going to live it up, man. We're going to have a good time, man. Nothing personal. Salute to Matthew Coca. I see you, brother.
How did the genesis of that idea come about? A live tour, not a live show, but a live tour.
So Nothing Personal has been going on for 4 years, and I do the show in front of just a camera. And obviously there's people listening, there's people downloading and watching. We debuted on DraftKings Network this week, and I just wanted to see what it would be like to do a live hour-and-a-half show. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to swing big, and no matter what, we're going to have fun. For all the people who come, I can't wait to meet them and meet the audience and just talk to them and have them talk to me during the show, do segments with them, maybe have some special guests along the way. Either way, they're going to have fun watching how Coke and I get a episode up and rolling. The process is quite something when you go behind the scenes, and I love that as part of Nothing Personal, because frankly, that's what we are. We try to give light to the dark. When people don't understand what's happening in the world of sports, we try to explain to them, given that I've done it for so many years. So we're taking it, and we're going to have fun with it. But of course, there'll still be Nothing Personals at 8 a.m. every day live on YouTube. I'll still do your show, all the time on Wednesdays. So don't worry, I'm not abandoning anybody.
There you go. He handles all of his responsibilities as he sheds light on the dark. But David, that brings me to something that I had in my notes for the show, and I didn't really necessarily think about talking to you about it. But now, since you bring it up, why not? Do fans today know too much about the business, not of just sports, but of music, of everything, that it takes away from the enjoyment of the actual thing that they're fans of?
Have you been speaking to Coca? It's such a great question, because are people just here to be entertained and they want to put their head in the sand? They don't care about all the back of the house arguing that happens. My argument is no. People love to see how the sausage is made. They want insight. They want to believe they know as much. It used to be they just thought they could do all of our jobs. Now they want to know all of the foibles, all of the potholes, so then they can say, well, not only can we do your job, but we can do it better. So I like taking people behind the scenes and letting them see everything. And Coca, the esteemed great producer who I work with, sometimes he'll be in my ear during a show and he'll say, too much, too much. So it is a fine line.
Let me be clear here. I'm not saying they don't want to know this stuff. I think, of course, everyone wants the hot goss, so to speak. But I feel like their infatuation with the back of the house stuff is reaching a point where it obscures the front of the house stuff, which is what you were a fan of to begin with, right? And Tony, we were talking about this earlier in the music thing. There's a whole Kendrick Lamar calls out Drake in a song, and J. Cole kind of somewhat. And
that's a sideswipe on both.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a sideswipe on Drake. He was a full-on head-on collision with Drake. But
they were both in the car together when the crash happened.
Drake definitely got hit. Cole got some whiplash. But the point is, David, is that rather than, this isn't new. Rappers dissing each other. Rap beef is not new. But it used to be who's got the better lyrics, who got the better of the other guy in the arena of what we're talking about, which is I rap, you rap.
The verbal sparring of it.
And now, Juju, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm seeing lots of people making arguments for tour sellouts and the size of venues this guy does and how many streams and all that. And it's like, wait, are you guys fans of the business of this, or are you actually fans of the actual thing that we came for, which is to hear these guys rap?
Right. David?
Oh, I'm sorry. He said Juju.
Oh, my
I
bad.
thought if you're going to be Dan, and what Dan does is he
Weird
says
job
a
by me
name,
there.
Yeah.
and then that name is the one who talks.
We
Step
absolutely
down.
want your opinion on J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar, David. Come on, brother.
'Cause you're every woman in the world to me.
Was that Drake or
Beautiful.
J.
That was
Cole
beautiful.
or
That's what that was.
New Kendrick?
That's a drop.
I will never apologize for air supply. Let me try to give you a better answer than that. It's not going to be hard. The hurdle's like on the floor. What are we competing over at the end of the day? We're competing over people's pockets. Everybody is figuring out, how do we monetize? It used to be with album sales in the music industry or the sale of singles. Then all of a sudden, everyone realized that they're getting their music and the artists are not getting paid for their music, which is why it's now about tours. Artists are making the most money from tours. So the competition about venue size, about streams, clicks, the monetization of your social media, that is actually how you can define. It used to be, I've had 5 number ones. Can anyone name right now the number 1 song on the Billboard chart?
I'm looking at the room, and there's a lot of vacant stairs.
It's like that.
Water by that one girl.
Water by that one girl.
That was a couple. I think that was a couple of weeks ago. when
No,
it was
End
hot.
of Beginning by
It's like that.
Joe.
It
It's
has
like,
to be.
like that. I just saw that. It's like 7 million streams. It was the most streamed song of the year the other day. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. But, yes, David, to your point, nobody knows. Nobody knows
It's
anymore.
totally changed.
Yeah.
We used to, without Greg coding this show, because we had that early in the week, when Casey Kasem's giving you your list of top 40s,
Casey
you're
Kasem.
excited.
This is
People
Casey
don't
Kasem.
care anymore.
I used to do
So for me, I'm going to where the money is. And that's why the tours matter. And also, what gets money is attention.
But do you
And
care?
so you called it rap beef, I think is the word you said.
Yeah.
I don't think you need the word rap in there. I think what you're looking for is what Dan talks about often. Give me something that can get aggregated while I'm in a Wonka costume.
But first of all, Dan's dream of getting aggregated is always that he's saying something profound or intelligent while in a Wonka costume. Not just, I'm in a Wonka costume, let me get aggregated over that. In the same way that, like, Jake Paul could come out with a record, and because of who he is and the notoriety he brings, that record could do really, really, really well. But I think that's it hits home to my point where it's like, I thought the whole point of being a fan of something is that you actually are a fan of the thing being done, not the business infrastructure around it. And to bring it back to sports, why are people, I mean, is it ruining the experience, right? When people I went to Heat Warriors last night, and instead of talking about, oh, wow, what a great game from Klay Thompson, it's about, well, the Warriors have a real decision to make at the end of the year, how much to play. And it's like, whoa. Are we not just enjoying the game itself rather than talk about all the business ramifications?
I think really sports is just a microcosm of the country and of the culture and of the world. Right now, the focus is always on what is hot, what is it that we can discuss that could be viral, and what is the tea. And so it used to be that gossip was lifestyles of the rich and famous. Now it's, how do I become that? I don't want to watch it. I want to be it. When you're at a game, you're looking around, you're looking at your bets, you're looking at your prop bets, you're looking at whether or not your team is doing what you want it to do from a fantasy standpoint. The entire fan experience has changed to the point where when you're marketing a game now, you are rarely marketing the fact that you're the best team in the league, playing the best team in the league. You're marketing what your giveaway is, you're marketing what your special halftime show is, or you're marketing where you're able to wager on games.
Speaking of marketing, locally, the Marlins have all-you-can-eat seats with instruments. This is what you texted me, and I said, I was going to ask you in the text. I said, no, I'm going to hold on to the show. What are the instruments? Does that mean it comes with a trombone or what?
So when I try to be economical in my words, Amin, when I'm texting you possible topics. There's two things going on at Marlins Park this year, or at Lone Depot Park, excuse me. Sorry. One, there's sections and the 200 level. When we built the 200 level, that's the club level. So that's where the suites are, or one level of the suites. And down the line is 201, 202, 203, and 204. And I know this because I actually, sorry, flex, look at me, David. I numbered them myself. Maybe one of the coolest things ever is coming up with the numbers of sections. I will take it. I take that one. But here's the thing about all-you-can-eat seats. And now we're going to talk business. The money is not coming out of the concessionaire's pocket. It's coming out of the Marlins' pocket.
Right. They pay
the Marlins pay a fee to the concessionaire, and they go to the concessionaire, and we tried this. Hey, will you discount your food in the all-you-can-eat section? And they say, no, thank you. Your attendance isn't good enough. We are not going to even make less money than the less money we projected to make when we did the original deal with you. So the Marlins say, all right, we'll give up our concession cut for all of this food, and then we will offer it to fans for free. So we will not collect really any ticket revenue. We won't collect any concession revenue. And all of the concessions that are eaten in the all-you-can-eat, we will give that money to Levy. Is it possible they keep a little pittance? Yes. But this is a cry for attendance, and it's a cry that I made many times. But the math of all-you-can-eat does not work. And I predict that this will not last long because you need extra security. You need extra training behind the concession stand so they're not just giving away food to people who come over from section 210. And so all of those things add up to it being a nightmare, which is why teams don't do it.
Every time I hear All You Can Eat, I think of the Fat Boys. All you can eat. Nobody remembers that song. I'm having a very...
Did they also die in 1989?
having a very old day today. We're going to be back with Samson in a bit where he's going to give us also his movie pick of the week. Stay tuned. His name is David Samson. You can catch him on tour, the NPDS tour, Nothing Personal with David Samson tour, at a city near you. Get your tickets, davidsamsonpodcast.com, or I guess just follow Juju, which is what David told us earlier, that Juju's also selling tickets because he's going to be at the Atlanta show, right, Juju?
Absolutely. We're going to be in there having a lot of fun, man. Salute to my big brother, David.
There you go. Cities and dates are on your screen right now at a city winery near you. Is there a deal going on with City Winery behind the scenes?
It's in front of the scenes.
Okay.
It's not behind the scenes at all.
So that's not just.
Do you think it was a coincidence?
Yeah.
I mean,
City Winery's available again. Oh, all right. Let's keep it going.
love those guys.
City Winery is a fun place, actually. They have a ton of shows, and they fit me into their packed calendar. And people just come into shows. They come day of. They're They're just fans of City Winery, and they come. I'm going to a City Winery show in New York on Friday to see Joshua Radin. And I've never seen him before, but I want to check out the venue because I'm doing New York April 29th. Special guest there as well, including maybe someone from the Le Batard universe. But it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited. What's the worst that can happen, Juju? I get the flop sweats. I stand up on stage and go totally silent. The lights go on, and I look around, and I say nothing. Yeah, I like my chances.
Well, I mean, the worst that could happen is that nobody shows up, right? Like that's just you and Juju, and it's just a cavernous.
Nah, that's not the worst thing that could happen.
That's not the worst at all.
The worst thing that could happen is like violence or something crazy.
Right.
Hey, I'm gonna do the Chris Cody thing. Violence at the show might actually help.
Let's not promote that.
I'm not promoting it.
No, thank you.
I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying.
Can we cut that out?
By the way, Joshua
I actually
Radin.
disagree with you, Amin. I think it's so important to have that feeling of discomfort in your stomach that I have about the tour. I think it's good to go outside of your comfort zone. It's good to expand and try to do things that you don't normally do, to try to do a show for an hour and a half in front of an audience, and to treat the audience, whether there's 10 people or 100 people or 20,000 people, you treat the audience with great respect, appreciation for them giving of their time and money to be entertained by you. Just like with my podcast, the first show I ever did, I think had 5 downloads. And I took it as seriously then as I do now. It doesn't matter. So I actually don't agree. That is not close to the worst thing. The fact when I can spend time with Juju anywhere, it's already close to the best thing.
Have you ever done?
I appreciate that, brother.
Have you ever done any sort of live work other than cussing a bunch of people out and telling them $1 billion?
$2 billion.
Yes.
$2 billion?
I started a play in Miami called Not Ready for Prime Time, which was, it had an 18 show run back in 2000, and it may have been 14. I played Lorne Michaels, the founder of Saturday Night Live, and I enjoyed that very much.
When was this?
I think 2014. I tried out as president of the Marlins. I tried out for a play in Miami, and I was cast, and I was so nervous. We had rehearsals. I would go to games and then go to rehearsals. And it went no games. I'd rehearse till midnight, and I was one of the stars, and I had to learn all my lines and get off book. And every time, a little funny thing about those shows, which helped inform Nothing Personal today, every time the stage manager would give the 5-minute warning, meaning the show's about to start, and I started the show, I forgot every one of my lines. So I kept a script right in my dressing room, and I would re-look at it, and then the minute I would say the first word, it would all just come back to me. But that feeling of nervousness, of absolute fear that you will go on stage and have no idea what to say, that informed me to Nothing Personal and led me to Nothing Personal, where I have no script, and I talk for 50 minutes just off the top of my head.
How did Jeffrey Loria feel about his president, like, dashing after a game to go hit up rehearsals?
He was not happy, just like he wasn't happy when I went on Survivor. But he had to give permission, as did the commissioner at the time. He had to give permission for me to go on Survivor and to be gone for that long during the course of a season. CBS would not cast me without permission from the commissioner and from Jeffrey.
There's an absolutely brutal line in here, David, from the Miami New Times about when you were doing this that said, "Eager stage door Johnnies take note. Not ready for prime time will run only slightly longer than the Marlins postseason hopes, coming to an end April 13th.
Ouch.
Big yikes.
Ouch.
Listen, Jeremy, I got to tell you, it is I am perfectly okay with failure, and I don't view that as a failure. Just like the tour, no matter what, won't be a failure because I will learn something. Every time I have failed in my life, it has led to a future success, and I failed plenty and had plenty of success. So I love failing. I actually look for it, I embrace it, and I'm not scared of it.
I want to make it clear, I didn't say it was a failure, just the writer from the Miami New Times did.
And I'd also like to point out that if you are experiencing failure and don't have the kind of attitude that David does about it, then just hit up the law offices of Amin Al-Hassan. We'll get your reputation clean by coming to Amin. David,
By doing what?
coming to Amin.
Oh, okay.
To him.
Okay.
Okay.
I just
All right.
didn't know if it was
That too
on
is doing a
Amin.
lot of work.
Kick, save, and abuse.
That too is doing the Spider-Man holding everything back right there. David, opening day is tomorrow. I'll be honest, I did not know, even though I feel like I'm embroiled with baseball news every day through my algorithm timelines, through my group chats, through my interactions with people day to day. And the reason is because all we talk about all the time is Shohei Ohtani.
It's a nightmare. Opening day is supposed to be, and it is the greatest day of the calendar for any baseball fan. I remember as a kid watching opening day, and then when I was old enough going to bars, I would skip class always on opening day. I just loved the fact that there were games all day, and they finally counted after spring training when no one cares what the result of the game is. And you're always in first place on opening day. So I used to love that you had a shot. I always wanted to win opening days. I don't remember my record in my 18 opening days. I want to assume maybe something like 8-10, just under 500.
Okay.
But I always felt when I won that we could go 162-0, and when we lost that I was going to lose 162. And it's so irrational. You must have felt that in basketball. I mean,
Never, not that. Yes, the feeling of you win the first game, like this is going to be a great season. 82-0 never occurred to me though, sadly.
I always thought about that. And so opening day, you wear a tie. I would always go to every employee on opening day and say happy opening day and thank them for the work. So much work happens during the off season, not just on the baseball side, but on the marketing side, on the sales side. Just thanking people for what they're doing and watching fans, no matter how many people were there, they were just so happy. Opening day is happiness, and I associate it as such. And tomorrow there's a game at 1 o'clock Eastern and all the way until late. So it's a fun day for me.
David, waxing romantic about opening day is a lovely conversation. Maybe we can do that next year. This year, we're talking about Shohei.
I won't do it.
What?
Can you believe what Dave Roberts did? Dave Roberts
did he
saying,
do?
hey, it's better without the interpreter. There's no buffer now between us and Ohtani. I think this is really great.
That's lemonade right there. You got lemons? Give me them lemons. I'll squeeze it, add some sugar, lemonade.
Let me tell you, it's absolute horse hockey because there's another interpreter, and Ohtani being approachable or not has nothing to do with the existence of Ippei Mizuhara. What's happening is that the Dodgers have distanced themselves so much from him, as has Shohei. Everybody has just thrown him under the bus, and yet we don't know anything. His statement yesterday or 2 days ago was an absolute joke. It was misguided. It was silly to have done in the first place. And he put himself in a position where he better have told the whole truth and nothing but the truth, or he's going to get in serious trouble. And he didn't even answer the most important question, like, hey, I gave him permission to wire money out of my account because he paid my cable bill. Little did I know he was buying out a bookie.
Do you believe
He didn't
him?
even say that.
Do you believe
So
him?
what's the use?
Do you believe him? Based on I'm just saying, based on the subtext of everything that's happened and the idea that the interpreter or just embezzled $4.5 million from him. Do you believe that explanation?
Do I believe there are players who don't know how much money they have in their account? Yes, I know that for a fact. Do I believe there are players who depend on business managers to help them with their finances? Yes, I know that. Here's what I also know. There is not a bank in the world that will wire $500,000 to a bookie and speak to someone who's not on the account. It doesn't exist.
Boom.
The quote here is, I've never bet on baseball or any other sports. That, to me, says that he's bet on the Oscars, he's bet on the Grammys, he's bet on everything other than
National
sports.
anthem.
Yep, all that stuff. The Gatorade color,
the props.
everything. David, before we let you go, you want to review Ricky Gervais' Armageddon? Is that right?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about comedy routines. I watched two of them recently, Ricky Gervais' Armageddon, and I watched the new Pete Davidson called something Fonzarelli. I can't remember what it was called. And I'm thinking about political correctness, and I'm thinking about comedy, and I'm thinking about Dan worrying about it's the end of the world and all the issues that he has. And Ricky did this whole routine about what it means to be at the end of the world and whether or not, in fact, we are. And this is the same comedian who hosted the Golden Globes and really was quite talkative towards stars in the room in a way that Jimmy Kimmel never would be at the Oscars.
Acerbic.
And I was very. So I was thinking about comedians who go on stage, whether they've got 4 people at a set, 10 people, or 100 people, or 2,000 people, and the line that they have to walk now is so different than it used to be. And I was thinking back to Don Rickles or Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy, other comedians who just had freer reign, thinking about it's harder now to make people laugh than it's ever been. And I give credit to those who try.
I don't know. I watched it. I loved it. But I also think a lot of these comedians now, their audiences are self-selecting. So he knows who his audience is. He can do these jokes for this audience that he maybe couldn't do at a Golden Globes or at something where he wasn't the main ticket.
It's a Netflix special, though. How do you control the audience that way?
The people who don't want to watch it don't watch it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Like, I don't care what Ricky Gervais has to say anymore. I don't know.
Really?
Nah.
Oh, man.
I used to.
He's hilarious.
There's enough that's been said that I'm out.
Is the reason you don't care is you don't find him funny or you find him offensive?
Kind of both. Like, his comedy has become, oh, poor me, I can't say the same shit I used to, and I am so sick of hearing comedians say that. But just be funny.
He says it in a funny way, though.
You just can go the other way and go Dave Chappelle.
Well, like, I don't like. That's a whole other conversation. We have 8 seconds.
Nothing personal with David Samson. The tour, you can get tickets, DavidSamsonPodcast.com. David, thank you.
Have a great day.